All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, September 6th. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all of that is absolutely free down in the pinned comment. I know we're talking MLB today, but speaking of fading me, our NFL season is off to a rough start. We are yet to have a win on a final play in the Thursday night game and also the Friday night game now. So I am really looking forward to some bounce back potential in this on this weekend, I guess. But you know what? Hey, that's for another video. We are talking MLB today. If we want to recap how we did yesterday, a 6-4 night, we shall take it. MLB has still been pretty nice to us. NFL, man, we are taking baby steps, and it seems like we're walking backwards there. But I'm sure we'll turn that around. Guys, by the way, you might notice we are on the road, but yes, we have a full slate to dive into here. Promised you guys, we'll always grind it out and work our you know what off when we have the time allotted to do a full slate breakdown when on the road. And guess what? We do have a few extra hours today, so boom, here we go on the road doing a full 15 slate game breakdown. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get rocking here. Started off with the Yankees taking on Toronto. On the bump for the Yankees going to be Luis Heel, going up against Chris Bassett. Now, this game ended in a 7-1 win for Toronto yesterday. I do think that the Yankees bounce back in this spot. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees. And by the way, because we are on the road, we didn't have time to make any graphics or anything like that. So you have the old version of obviously all the games in a row, so no team graphics, and we don't have our play graphics down below. So we do what we can when we're on the road. At least we're getting all 15 games, right? But I am going to lean towards the Yankees here. I think that both pitchers can do all right. You have the sinker coming in from Chris Bassett. That's a middle of the pack kind of pitch that the Yankees have been seeing lately. And then Luis Heel is going to throw a ton of fastballs, changeups, and sliders. I like the slider. I like the changeup. The fastball, this Toronto team has been a top 10 offense against recently. But really what puts me over the top, other than the bounce back situation here for the Yankees, is the fact that this lineup, so not the Yankees in general, this lineup, the actual guys that make up the lineup, they've seen him 168 times. 285 average against, 376 WOBA against. So I do think that they've seen him enough to be able to hit him, whereas Luis Heel on the other side, 53 plate appearances against. Kind of a decent enough sample size, but nothing too crazy. Nothing like Chris Bassett, who triples that, right? He's got a 162 average against this Toronto team. Now, I will throw in the fact that he has a 28%. Yes, you heard that correctly. A 28% walk rate against the squad. Now, against righties last 30 days, this Toronto team is not walking. I think they're walking like the sixth fewest, but maybe walks could do us in today if we do like the Yankees. So I think the offense comes out to play. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees as well as their team total over. I don't know if I really want to pull the trigger on an over 9.5. Like I mentioned, I do actually think that these pitchers can pitch fairly well, and it looks like even though it's going to be hot and humid in Yankee Stadium today, it might be rainy, and that could lead towards somewhat of an under. So yeah, I think the Yankees can score like 5 runs today, maybe a team total for them, but I do think that, we could see like a 5-4 game. If this was an 8.5, obviously I'd be leaning towards the over, right? But slightly leaning towards the under. I like the Yankees, but I also want to consider Luis Heel and his walks just due to the fact that he's walked Blue Jays left and right when he's seen them, and he's got a 14.7% walk rate when at home this season. Next up, we have the Cubs taking on Washington. Cubs go off yesterday. I believe they scored, 11 runs. Washington did put in 5 of their own, so this is a very high-scoring game yesterday. Now, if we recall, the wind was actually blowing out in Wrigley. Today, I do believe that's the case, but if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be cold with some chance of rain yet again. So this total is all the way up to 9, which obviously with Brad Lord on the mound and Matthew Boyd makes a little bit of sense because for the most part, they've actually been serviceable. I mean, that's a disservice to Matthew Boyd. He's been really good, but he has struggled lately. Brad Lord, who I actually thought was doing really, really well, he's been struggling lately. So I do think that both these pitchers do a little bit better than we saw yesterday from Carne Asada and was it Jake Irvin. I'm going to lean under in this spot as well, especially if it's going to remain cold there in Wrigley. I think this very much like we talked about with that Yankees game could be like a 5-4 game in favor of the Cubs though, but minus 268 is a little crazy. So maybe it's Cubs -1 or just taking a peek at that under. or kind of tying it all in a bow and trimming out some of the fat, a peek at the Nationals team total under. I do think that this Chicago bullpen should be all right, and you throw in the fact that, Matthew Boyd probably should be pretty good in a bounce back spot, and throw in the fact that James Wood, CJ Abrams, both lefties. Matthew Boyd has been a lefty specialist all year long. So, yeah, it's really been righties that are getting to him lately. So, hopefully, he kind of bounces back. Again, 2 starts in a row have not been very Matthew Boyd esque. I think against a team that struggles to hit lefties and has a couple lefty power bats in the lineup, Matthew Boyd's good against lefties. Probably a perfect situation for them to be able to go out there and or him to be able to go out there and bounce back. So, yeah, I'm kind of talking myself into a Washington team total under, I'd say. Now, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I wanted to talk to you about Chalkboard. Couple things to mention here. First and foremost, the deal you're seeing on your screen. If you sign up and use code GUYBOSTON right now, just signing up and using code GUYBOSTON, you get a free $20. Absolute no-brainer. If you do deposit, they'll also match your deposit and give you a free square as well. So a ton to go and get over on Chalkboard in terms of value, in terms of promotional and bonus. Go check it out. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Make sure to use code GUYBOSTON to get that free $20. That link that you click doesn't always auto-populate the code. So if you do want that free 20 bucks, make sure you do type in, or at least make sure it's filled in, code GUYBOSTON. If you don't know what Chalkboard is, really, really cool, guys. You pick more or less based on player set projections. They also have game picks now, so you can pick money lines or games going over or under. Really, really awesome. You pick 2 or more of those, put them into an entry. The more you get correct, the more you get paid out. So go ahead and check it out. Again, that link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. And what code do you have to use? GUYBOSTON. GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ. All right, next game up, we got the Marlins taking on the Phillies. On the mound for the Marlins going to be Sandy Alcantara going up against Jesus Luzardo. Now, Jesus Luzardo is coming off a shutout game against Atlanta. They did lose the game, but he went 6 2/3, 2 hits, 7 Ks, 0 earned. Alcantara's honestly been very good, and he's been decent at home lately, too. He's gone 7 innings in his last 3 starts, allowing no more than 2 runs, and I think 5, 3, and 4 hits in those 3 starts. St. Louis, Atlanta, and Miami. Actually, yeah, pitched a good game against Boston the game before as well. I think this Phillies team can get to him, though. They've already done that, historically. 313 plate appearances against in terms of this lineup against Sandy Alcantara. 304 average against. He's got just a 17.9% K rate and a 357 WOBA against, a 472 expected slugging. So I do think that we have a decent spot here for this Phillies lineup to go out there and put up some runs. Their offense, surprisingly, even on the road, still looked good yesterday. They scored 9 runs, right? And now we have Jesus Luzardo on the bump. I mentioned that. Ex-Marlin, back in, the Marlins territory. I think that he should pitch fairly well. In terms of what we have from a pitch mix from both of these guys, the slider and the fastball are going to be 2 pitches that we're seeing from Jesus Luzardo, who, by the way, is a lefty. This Marlins team struggles against lefties. But against the fastball, 17th in the league last 30 days, and the slider, 16th. On the Sandy Alcantara side of things, fastball, sinker, changeup, curveball, slider, every pitch that I just mentioned, but the sinker. The sinker should be a good pitch for him today. Every pitch I just mentioned, this Phillies team does hit very well, and he struggles against lefties. They do have Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, even Brandon Marsh, Kepler, Stott. Decent amount of lefties in the bat. I think there's in the batting order. I think there's 5 lefties today, obviously including all the guys I just mentioned. So yeah, give me the Phillies. In terms of a total, I don't mind their team total over. As good as Sandy Alcantara has been, and some people that just started following baseball don't realize how good Cy Young Sandy Alcantara was, right? As good as he's been, he really has still put together a not up to sniff, effort this season in terms of a body of work. So I think that he's due for a little regression. And this Phillies team is obviously, like I mentioned, one of the better lineups that he's seen lately. So yeah, give me the Phillies as well as their team total over in this spot. And then maybe Schwarber, maybe Harper for some overs because, again, he does struggle against left-handed hitters. And those are 2 of the best in the game right now. All right, this one we can go through fairly quickly. It's Detroit taking on the White Sox, and yeah, you guessed by the odds being absolutely just atrocious. 330, minus 330 other Tigers. Tariq Skubal's on the mound, right? So Skubal against Martin Perez. This Detroit team hits lefties pretty well, too, last 30 days. This is pretty easy. Detroit in some sort of a parlay would be what I look at. I think Skubal could go out there and pitch fairly well as well. His sinker should be fantastic today against this White Sox team, who is one of the worst teams in the league at hitting the sinker. Obviously, the fastball, too. I mean, it's Tarek Skubal, right? So give me the White Sox. Yikes, Freudian slip, maybe. Give me the Tigers, but they'd have to be in some sort of a parlay or something like that, as well as maybe a White Sox team total over or Detroit team total Sorry, White. Geez, my voice and brain really wants me to get to the White Sox today. A White Sox team total under or a Detroit team total over. That's where we're getting confused over here. So yeah, nothing too crazy in this one. Those odds are ridiculous. Next up, we got the Reds taking on the Mets here. On the mound is going to be Tong going up against Brady Singer. I would say that this game probably stays a little bit closer than we may think, but not for the reason of pitching. I think that both of these bats could get to the opposition. We're going to see a ton of fastballs out of Tong. Obviously, not much to go off of from on this season from him. I think Cincinnati should be able to get to him. Also, don't love either one of these bullpens. And then throw it to the other side of things. Brady Singer is going to throw a ton of sliders, right? This is a Mets team that's number 2 in the league at hitting the slider right now. Seven of their 9 guys in the lineup have positive runs above average numbers against the slider too. So I think this is a game that goes over that total of 8.5. I will throw in the fact that it's going to be 60 degrees there at Great American Ballpark, but they don't call Great American Small Park for no reason, right? So I do still think even with some colder weathers, we could see some runs come in this one. There's also 8 to 6 mile an hour winds in terms of when the game starts, then it goes down to 6. So 6 to 8 if we say it correctly, but 8 at the beginning of the game, 6 mile an hour at the end of the game, blowing directly out to center field. Do think that we could see some runs today. We just kind of got to hope that we see something similar to what we saw yesterday, right? A 5-4 game? That would cash it at 8.5. If I had to pick a side here, I almost like the idea of the plus money on the Cincinnati side of things, but if I think it's going to be an offensive game, I probably should stay true to the idea that, yeah, the better offense would win, and I would say the Mets are the better offense right now. So I do lean Reds because of the plus money, but it's probably silly if I think the runs are going to come in. Mets are more likely to score runs, I'd say. All right, moving on, we got Pittsburgh taking on Milwaukee. We have Mitch Keller on the bump going up against Brandon Woodruff. Milwaukee cashed for us yesterday, right? And that was obviously very nice to see because it would be tough for the Pittsburgh Pirates to burn us yet again because we've been taking the Dodgers, which we'll talk about in a second, and Pittsburgh was crushing the Dodgers. Now, in this spot, like I mentioned, it is Mitch Keller. He wasn't looking all that great, and then he finally bounced back against Boston. 5 innings, 0 earned, 7 Ks. Brandon Woodruff, on the other side of things, has kind of hit in a rocky patch here. 2 straight starts of 5 earned runs. Now, he went up against Arizona and then Toronto, in Toronto. So I would think that Brandon Woodruff against this Pittsburgh team should be pretty good. But that being said, giving credit where it's due, this Pirates offense has been a little bit better than we've seen for the most part this season, right? That being said, I will also say that the Brewers are just a better offense. So sorry to all my Pittsburgh fans in the comments. I'm going to lean Brewers yet again. I think the fact that you can get them at minus 130 still is a decent deal. Throw in the fact that we're going to get pretty much fastball, sinker, changeup from Woodruff. Those are pitches that I'm loving in terms of the pitch mix from him against this Pittsburgh squad. Flip it over to fastball slider from Mitch Keller. Fastball, Brewers 8th last 30 days in terms of runs above average offensively as a team. And then the slider, in which they'll see 34% of the time, number 1 team in the entire league. Probably not the best spot for Mitch Keller, who has gone up against his Brewers lineup. Again, the players on the lineup, not just the Brewers team. 125 times, 345 average against, a WOBA of 382, expected slugging 480. Seems simple enough for me to get to the Brewers today, but I don't mind the idea of a potential over, or if we want to just get a little more clean with it, a Brewers team total over. Now, he burned us yesterday, but I think we may go right back to it. Jackson Chourio here, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I love the pitch mix yet again due to the fact that he's going to see fastball and slider. This guy, obviously, last 30 days isn't the best of numbers because he was out and then came back, but he has a 38.1, an unheard of number in terms of runs above average against the slider. Now, again, I will admit that's skewing some of our data a little bit because in the last 30 days, he only has, 5-6 games played. So yeah, it's tough to look at it from that perspective, but still, I feel like I think we should trust our pitch mix rating that we have algorithmically built. I sounded pretty smart when I said that out loud. So let's go with Jackson Chourio over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs as well. He went like 0 for 5 yesterday. Just don't do that again, buddy. All right, Baltimore taking on the Dodgers. Now, we do not have the do not bet graphic, the do not bet graveyard graphic here when we are traveling on the road. So, unfortunately, we can't show you guys. But yes, this Dodgers team is definitely 6 feet under now. Again, we had them yesterday, and they didn't come through for us. We had them the day before. They didn't come through for us. I think 2 days before that, we had them, and they didn't come through for us. Now, I will say they only lost 2-1 yesterday. Dean Kramer pitched, 3 innings? Shohei went 3-2. Weird game. Today, I still don't really have much faith in them, though. Trevor Rogers up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think Trevor Rogers could pitch pretty well. Yamamoto's obviously very good. So what I look at first and foremost would be like a first three under, maybe a nerfy. We got a nerfy potentially, or a first five under. I don't like the idea of a full game under. One, because I feel like there's some bottlenecked and log jammed runs coming in that didn't get in yesterday, right? That's not exactly the best analysis, but I just gut feeling. Two, both these bullpens are nothing to write home about. Dodgers blow games, kind of saw that yesterday. And this Baltimore bullpen just is not good. So, yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards maybe a first five or first three under. Rogers, go out there and blow through the order one time. That'd be great. And then Yamamoto, same exact thing. If we go first five, that could definitely be something that we get behind as well. So, in terms of a money line play, Baltimore for the plus money, but you know now that I'm looking at Baltimore, the Dodgers are going to go out there and like score a million runs because that's what we've been waiting for. Now that we're hopping off the train, they're like, finally, we got that fat load off the train. Let's go full speed ahead. Next up, we have Tampa Bay taking on Cleveland. Shane Baz, Tanner Beebe on the bump. I almost want to do what we just said with the Dodgers and Orioles game. I do like the idea of a first five under here in this spot, but I don't know if we can trust these pitchers. I mean, Baz is coming off of a good start, so good for him. 6 innings, 0 earned against Seattle, but ultimately he's really fallen off. He's been bad at home, which makes sense. This ballpark, and then Tanner Beebe is a pitcher that just is big yikes. But again, I still don't really believe in this Tampa Bay lineup in terms of, their offense. And they scored what, one run yesterday? Cleveland gave us seven, but I really don't think that they do that again. So it's almost like a fading of the offenses is kind of something that I'm looking at here. So it would be first five under or maybe even full game under because I do think that these two bullpens are not too bad. So maybe a full game under here. If I had to pick a side, I think Tampa Bay bounces back. This is just such a bad Cleveland offense, and we're obviously going to get pitches like the knuckle curve, the fastball, the cutter, all pitches that they struggle against. And though we saw Tanner Beebe look good at times in his career, there's been nothing to write home to mom and dad about in his last like 5 or 6 starts. So yeah, and also by the way, this year they saw him in his second to third or yeah second most recent start. Saw this Tampa Bay team 6 innings pitched, 5 earned, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. So we have that to look at as well. Shane Baz, I guess we can kind of point at too. 6 innings, 3 earned, 7 Ks, a little bit better than BB. So I lean towards Tampa Bay, but again, I do think that we could see like a 4-3 game today type of thing. Atlanta taking on Seattle yesterday. Good call from us. We had the first three and first five under, and what a look, right? Very, very low scoring game overall, but then also just into when I'm score checking and whatnot because we are on the road, we got stuff to do, right? I'm like, wow, what is it, 2-1 in like the eighth? I guess the first three and first five cashed, that type of thing. But ultimately, what we'd look at here would be probably Braves. I don't know if I love the price, but it's Bryce Miller and Hunter Waldrop. Now, Waldrop has been really, really good. And I told you guys last time he pitched, right? That was against the Phillies. I said, this is a big learning opportunity for me. One second. I need a sip of coffee. A big learning opportunity for me to watch Waldrop closely this time because I've been big on the fact that he was not very good in the minors. And then all of a sudden he comes into the pros and he's just really, really good. That's like the most unique thing that's ever happened. You know what I mean? Yet he goes out against a Phillies lineup in Philly, 5 2/3, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts. He gets it done. And Bryce Miller, I don't necessarily love. So I think that you have the better team in the Braves and the better pitcher, probably the better bullpen, even though they did use Iglesias, Kinley, and Lee yesterday. But I think that this is a better Braves team all around, especially because Bryce Miller's on the bump and he throws a ton of fastballs. That's a pitch that they hit. Then he's going to move on to the slider. They hit that well as well. So I think this could be a good spot for the Braves ultimately. Waldrop, I'm keeping a fine-tuned eye on, though. There's still something fishy going on here, but you know what? It doesn't smell like fish to me. It just looks like a fish, but maybe it's a plastic fish. One of those give me back that fillet of fish, little fishes on the wall, right? I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Atlanta and their team total over is what I'd look at here. No more fish talk, Ev. Comment fish if you've made it this far in the video, and by commenting fish, you are admitting that you acknowledge I'm a psycho. We got Texas taking on Houston. Jacob deGrom going up against Hunter Brown. So yesterday, Colton Gordon ended up getting the start. Merrill Kelly pitched for Texas. He went 7 innings. That was a 4-3 win for Texas. This total is obviously going to be way down there just due to the fact that we have two absolute studs on the bump. I have seen a bump to 7 on FD and I believe it was MGM or somewhere else. So, maybe 6.5 didn't hang in for too long. They saw some money on the over there because, again, throw in the fact that we do have a Texas offense that, though they've looked a little cold in their last couple games, they were on fire prior to that. You have Hunter Brown, though, who's obviously very, very good. 1.2 ERA over his last 5. Jacob deGrom has a 1 flat ERA over his last 5. I still don't think it's all that worth going in here and taking a peek at any sort of, over, even though the line seems to be moving in that way. I would take a peek at a first 3 if we can get a good line for it, a first 3 or a Nerfy. I don't think, let me see what actually the first 5 is. We have this up right now. The first 5 under 4.5 minus 185. See, that's been kind of priced out. We look at it from a first 3 perspective, and I still don't know how you can do this on some books. Under 2.5 years minus 150. Like, that seems like it actually may be worth it. And then I would check out the Nerfy. And what I'm doing here is just seeing the difference in price. Because obviously, 5 innings, 4.5 runs, 1 run per inning goes kaput, right? That's where our bust spot is. We don't need to talk about busting too much on this family friendly. But anyways, you bust at 5. For first 3, you bust at 3, but now we're getting a better price, 30 cents of value. For the Nerfy, you obviously bust at 1, and you're getting minus 150. So same for the first 3 and the Nerfy. So I think first 3 minus 150 over on, where do we at? Over on Caesars right now is probably what we'd look at. You can get minus 165 on MGM, minus 160, minus 170 on DraftKings. Man, that minus 150 actually probably has some decent value to it. First 3 under minus 150. We kind of stumbled into that, but I shall take it. In terms of a side here, I think I like the idea of the Astros for plus money coming off of a loss. But you can't go wrong either way here, right? I even said this yesterday when we thought it was going to be Brown and Merrill Kelly. Both good pitchers, now deGrom and Brown. And I think that this Astros lineup, even though their offense has definitely been a little bit of a roller coaster, they still obviously have a very, very good team, right? There's no denying that. And at some point, they probably get a little bit better. The reason that I do like them is you're kind of getting them at a low. Like, there is a world in which we just saw the Astros never really cool off, and they're playing Texas, and they're the favorite with Hunter Brown on the bump, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of things you can look at and be like, yeah, well, I mean, seems like it's a Texas spot. That's because it does seem like it's a Texas spot. But I like the Astros potentially just due to the fact that we have, buying them at a nut low. Now, again, first 300 is probably what I like most, so I don't want to get too far down the path of Astros for plus money, but it is what I'd be looking at here. Kansas City taking on Minnesota. I was very close to pulling the trigger on Kansas City yesterday, as well as their team total over, though. So I guess we can't take too much credit because we liked them to score some runs. But Waka and Pablo Lopez did kind of what we thought they might, right? Now, today on the bump is going to be Stephen Kolek going up against Joe Ryan. You're getting Kansas City for plus money. I still think that that's what I would consider, but Joe Ryan is Joe Ryan, and he's an absolute stud and a beast. So I will admit that, but at the same time, this is still a Kansas City team that's hitting righties well. I think that they can continue to hit this righty well, but this is probably not one that we actually put our own bread on. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Ryan is definitely good enough to say, even though we have a team that is better offensively and blah, 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 it's like Joe Ryan gives his team a chance to win plenty. And he's actually looked really good twice against this Kansas City squad. So, yeah, it's probably a pass for me, but that plus money at Kansas City is tempting. I don't mind the idea of an under because you have Joe Ryan, who should suppress any offense, and then you have Kansas City's Stephen Kolek, who, yeah, I mean, he's been okay, but he's going up against a Twins lineup that just kind of stinks too, right? So, yeah, maybe an under 8 in this spot. St. Louis and the Giants, as much as this play ended up being a loser yesterday, I don't necessarily mind that we had that under 8.5. That final score, what did it finish at? 8-2? Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect San Francisco to kind of go off like that, right? To carry the momentum after being in Colorado. Today we have Justin Verlander on the bump. He's going up against Andre Palante, who, okay, he's not all that special of a pitcher. We know that, right? But he does keep the ball on the ground. In this San Francisco team, I do think when you keep the ball on the ground against them, good things happen. So I almost think about running this under right back. You still have bullpens that I don't necessarily mind. My one concern is that we're going to get a ton of fastballs out of Palante. Even though he keeps them on the ground, this San Francisco team, quietly the third best team last 30 days at hitting the fastball. You have Adames, 4.7, runs above average against the fastball. Devers, 1.3. Jung-Hoo Lee, 3.0. Chapman, Matos, 3+. So not exactly what you want to see there, right? But the slider out of Palante, which is his second pitch, should be fairly good. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards the under yet again. In terms of a side here, I still do think that Verlander probably has a better matchup. He throws a bunch of fastballs. St. Louis isn't hitting the fastball right now, and they can't touch righties. So I'm going to lean towards San Francisco in this spot. Verlander and that offense, I do like a little bit more than anything we have to see on St. Louis's side of things. Arizona taking on Boston, kind of a no sweat in terms of our over in this spot yesterday. We saw a final score of 10-5. Peyton Tolley only goes 3 innings. Rodriguez goes 6 innings. We have Lucas Giolito on the bump, who's obviously been pretty damn good lately. He's going up against Brandon Pfaadt, who was really bad, pitched really, really well for a little bit, and now is kind of back to doing his bad stuff, right? The last time the Red Sox saw him was a couple of years ago, and three innings, 2/3, 5 earned. 8 hits, and I think it was a couple home runs. Now, Lucas Giolito is what we'd have to worry about here because I kind of want to get back to another over. You have Brandon Pfaadt, who should allow some runs, and then you also have, a changeup and fastball thrower in Giolito. He does with the slider as well, but the changeup and fastball should be pretty good pitches for this Arizona team to hit. I'm just going to keep looking at this throughout the day to make sure that we can fade Giolito in a sense. I don't know if we actually get there. Again, he's been pretty good. And he's actually been pretty damn good at on the road. So I guess we can give him some credit there. But I could easily see this, especially if we can snag it at an 8.5, a 5-4 type of a win for the Red Sox, where Giolito pitches fine, the bullpen pitches fine, the Red Sox offense gets to Pfaadt. Like that's the type of thing that I think happens. So yeah, maybe we look at an over. Again, you want to snag this at 8.5. There are 8.5s out there. 9 I don't mind, but I think 5-4 could be a floor that ends up pushing. So if you can get 5, go for it. Not 8.5. I mean, now Red Sox to score 5 runs at plus money right or even odds right now, that could be something to consider as well. They've done it in 4 of their last 5 games. So by the way, I lean towards the Red Sox as well as their team total, but I kind of want to get to that over again. I think it was a good look yesterday, and I'm still seeing it as a good look today. 15 runs, maybe not, but I think we can get to 9. Colorado taking on San Diego. We got some comments calling me crazy for taking that first 3 under yesterday, and it ended up being a really, really good look. Now, the runs started to come in, I will admit, in the 4th inning, but at that point, what do we care about, right? Now, today, I don't think that we're going to run back that. We have on the bump, looks like McCade Brown going up against Randy Vasquez. Don't really want to trust either one of these sides here. Randy Vasquez is kind of overpriced right here at minus 200 odds, but I'd still figure out a way to potentially get to San Diego. They lost 3-0 yesterday, right? I think the San Diego team is a lot better than what they've been doing. 8 of their last 10 games they've lost. They've lost 5 straight. They lost a series against the Twins, got swept by Baltimore. At some point, this offense is going to say, hey, screw this, let's go score. So I like San Diego and their team total over today, but I'll tell you right now, it's really nothing that I'm like in love with. It's what I would lean towards, and that's what we do on this show, but you're not going to find it in the final plays in the pinned comments. So just forewarning, it's what I look at, but especially because of their in cores, they're going to have a crazy, crazy line. I need to see some actual life in this team before pulling the trigger on a big, big line. Angels Athletics. I wanted to look at the Athletics yesterday, right? Fading Soriano, even though I do like him, and what happens? They get to him. This this Athletics team does have some serious, serious potential in terms of offense. Now they're going up against Yusei Kikuchi today. He's been very good at home this year, but this is an Athletics team that is crushing lefties. That said, don't know how much I love them against the slider and a crafty pitcher like Kikuchi. So I'm actually going to flip compared to what we did yesterday, and I'm going to lean towards the Angels in this one. Trusting Kikuchi at home, even though this Athletics team has a higher ceiling, I think that they have a lower floor against a guy that throws a ton of sliders and a good pitcher and a veteran pitcher at home. So it's going to be the Angels for me, but I don't really think that they are worth minus 132 if I'm being completely honest. I think this could be an under game as well. You have JT Ginn on the other side of things, and he's going to throw a bunch of sinkers. That is the number one. How do I put this? They're the worst team. Pretty easy to put this. Angels' worst team to hitting the sinker. So maybe an under 9.5 in this spot could be as well. We're going to get 53% sinkers from JT Ginn. So give me the Angels as well as the under. And guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you do appreciate the full game breakdowns when on the road. Yes, it's kind of crappy to be out and drinking last night and wake up early and have to get everything set up, because honestly, when we do those, I've told you guys this before, when we do those 3, 4, 5 pick videos where we just give our favorite plays, they are easier because we're only focusing on a few different things. When we have to get all our ball knowledge about the entire slate set up prior to the video, takes a little bit more time, right? But hopefully you guys do appreciate it. I'm down to obviously work our ass off, and we're doing that so far in the NFL season. I mentioned how we're off to a rough start, but we're putting a ton of effort into these videos, so really appreciate all the support. And yeah, before I start to get all sappy, we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.